What's up YouTube, this is Harvey1997 here, coming at you today with my deck profile for Supreme King Zarc Turbo. That being 2 copies of Zarc, unironically, because he is the boss monster. We can make him twice sometimes. Not all the time. This deck isn't very good, I'm going to be completely honest with you. If you want to say in the comments section how to make a competitive version, sure, I'll talk to you about it. But here's a simple version of it. Don't do it. This deck is bad. Just for fun, mainly. But it can do some cool things, though. So this involves both the Supreme King Gate engine, as well as using cards like Astrograph, Sorcerer, and the Magicians. This should be noted, this is not a Magician deck at all. It just uses them as an engine to get Zarc. So that's why I have some of the weird ratios I do on the Magicians. But without any further ado, let's get into the deck profile. We're going to start off with our Supreme Kings, being 3 Gate 0, 1 Infinity, 3 Dark Worm, and 2 Supreme King Dragon Odd Eyes. So here's what they do. Dark Worm is the centerpiece of all this, in that if he's in your scale, you can place one of these 2 cards from your deck into your other scale, and then you can't pendulum summon except Darks, so no White Wing or Wisdom Eye, but that's about it. Very, not very relevant, you know. And if you normal or special summon him, you can add a Supreme King Gate from your deck to your hand, so one of these. And if you have no monsters on your field, you can special summon him from your graveyard. We can take full advantage of that in this deck as well. So he's just all around very good. What do these do? They're obviously so important since they're searchable. This one, if it's in your scale, you cannot pendulum summon if you control a monster. It's garbage. You run it at 1 just because you kind of have to, and more for the theme than anything. But yeah, it's a searchable high scale. That's the main thing. But anyway, so once per turn you can destroy it and another card you control to special summon a Xyz or Pendulum Dragon from your extra deck, that being a monster that is an Xyz or Pendulum, or yeah, that's right, I apologize. So it doesn't have to be Xyz Dragon by name, just an Xyz Dragon monster or Pendulum. And also, if it is destroyed in the monster zone, you can place it in the scale afterwards, assuming you have an open scale, so it's pretty nifty in that. Now this one, while it's in the scale, if you control Zarc, you take no damage, really cool. If you have these both in the scale, you can blow them both up to search Miracle Synchro Fusion, which is our poly for the deck, along with Astrograph Sorcerer. That's the only reason I'm running that over Dragon's Mirror. In the monster zone, it has the same thing as Infinity, where if it's destroyed, you can place it in the scale. And then also, you can destroy it and another card you control to summon a Fusion or Synchro Dragon from your extra. So it's pretty cool. It can also cycle through, like these things, they mainly cycle through your extra deck monster zone, since you can only have 1 extra deck monster at a time now. So it's really helpful in that aspect, so you can destroy the one in your extra deck monster zone, and then summon something else out, yada yada yada. Just lets you get some other things out. And lastly, our Supreme King Dragon Odd Eyes. His monster effect really, it doesn't happen. He's a level 8, it's very awkward. Pretty much the only thing that matters is the fact that he has Supreme King Dragon in the name, so you can summon him with Supreme Rage, which I think that's its name, Supreme Rage, which we are playing. And its scale effect is not a hard once per turn at all. You can tribute a Supreme King Dragon monster you control, so that's 99% of the time gonna be this guy. Can also be any of your other ones though. And then you add a Pendulum with 1500 or less attack from your deck to your hand. Whether it's one of the other gates, Harmonizing, Wisdom Eye, whatever it is, you can search it. This thing's really cool. And then lastly, for kind of that engine, we're running 1 Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. Mainly we're running it because we have Sky Iris in here and it's a searchable name with Pendulum Dragon that you can search for your Astrograph Sorcerer. So that's about it. On to the Magicians. First, we have the 2 monsters that aren't Magicians, but go in every Magician deck at 3. Skullcrobat and Astrograph, your Stratos, your Fusion Summoner, your Beater, your all-around, just everything card. Astrograph does it all. The Zarc Magicians, we have 1 White Wing because she's bad and we don't want to play more, but you need her for the name. 2 Purple Poison, 2 Double Iris, and 2 Black Fang. These are all very good. but I'm not running 3 of any of them because this is not a Magician deck. There's very little space in this. It's already at 41 cards, and I don't really want to go above that. I just could not find anything to cut in here. So yeah, they're all very solid cards. Double Iris and Black Fang, they will wind up in the scale quite a bit, but it's not so bad because summoning Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon is fairly easy, so you don't really need him as much for that aspect. And then Double Iris Magician, you can search Odd Eyes Pendulum just about as easily as you can search this, so, you know, it is what it is. You don't really need all 3 copies of them, or Purple Poison for that matter, because there's usually a different monster that's in the scale. White Wing, its card's horrible. It's Wind. It gets banished if you Synchro Summon with it. It sucks. It's awful. But run it so you can dump it with Time Star and then never have to draw the card. That's its only purpose. Now to the things that you don't want to leave home with, or without, if you're playing Magicians. 3 Wisdom Eyes, and 3 Harmonizing, because you kind of need 3 of both. They're what give the deck life. Also 1 copy of Oath Dragon to get things out of your extra deck, because if you, for example, get your 1 copy of White Wing stuck in your extra deck, and you can't get it back out, like you can't Pendulum Summon it for some reason, it sucks. You have to be able to get it out with Oath Dragon, or something like that, to be able to summon Zarc, so do that. He's also very good for recycling, harmonizing Wisdom Eye at that, so yeah. So 30 monsters in the main deck if I counted correctly. It seems like a lot, and it is, but we want monster heavy hands most of the time, so. Alright, on to our spells. I have 1 copy of Pendulum Call and 1 copy of Star Pendulum Graph. I am not running Duelist Alliance in this because I really don't want to see these cards very often anyway. It's fine to just see them as it is. Above that, they're just not great in this deck. They're above average, but not great. 2 copies of Miracle Synchro Fusion, because I want to see this card a lot. Because if you don't get Astrograph, that's how you summon Zarc. And yeah, that's really all there is to it. Then we have a Field Spell Engine in here, comprised of 1 copy of Dragon Ravine, 1 Skyrus, and 2 copies of Terraforming to search them out. I was originally running Dragon Shrine and no Skyrus or anything. And then I was like, well, maybe Dragon Ravine. And I was like, well, with that, Terraforming, with that, Iris. And it all worked out very well. I'm very happy with how this engine turned out. And lastly, the traps. Not very many, but 1 Time Pendulum Graph and 2 Supreme Rage. Really, you shouldn't even run this card at all, but I'm playing it for the theme and because I really want to actually resolve it. I'm running 2. 99% of times you're going to summon 1 of these from the deck or graveyard or whatever, and 1 of these from the deck or graveyard. It's really the sad truth. But since you can't summon the other ones from the extra deck, that's just how it goes. If you get the other ones in grave, that's awesome, because this does ignore summoning conditions. So, for example, Starving Venom cannot be summoned by other ways other than its fusion summon, but Supreme Rage ignores that, so you actually can. Very rare will that come up, but it is what it is. It's there for the theme, more than anything. Time Pendulum Graph, I was originally actually not running because I didn't want to rely on it too much, but I found it useful in that if you have it with Time Star, a neat combo you can do to clear your extra deck monster zone so you can summon Zarc, is pop a Magician on your field or scale, and an opponent's monster or card or whatever. Use Time Star to protect your monster, and since your monster is not destroyed, you get to send something from the field to grave, you can send your Time Star. You go incredibly minus, but who cares? You get summon Zarc, right? That isn't, in the end, isn't that what really matters? Not in the competitive game, but in this deck, it truly is. Because we don't care about good plays, we care about Zarc plays. On to the extra. Should be noted, this is 15, but there is so much flex room in here to do what you want with this deck. If you want to change some things, go for it. There's so much room. 2 copies of Zarc. That should say enough right there. But I have actually summoned 2 of them in 1 game before. It was pretty great. Should have won off the first one, but, you know, bad things happen sometimes, right? 2 copies of Supreme King Starving Venom, Supreme King Dragon rather. This card is very good at copying effects. It can also copy your gate 0 on the field, then pop itself and something else, and then get another dragon out. It's really good at cycling through names. 1 copy of Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, and 1 copy of Rune Eyes Pendulum Dragon. When I was running Dragon's Mirror, I could theoretically summon these. Now it is literally impossible to summon these 2 cards. But here's their purpose. Fusion Dragon. Pendulum Dragon. You can summon them off of Supreme King Gate 0 and meet either the Fusion or Pendulum Dragon requirements off of that. So yeah, and since I also run Clearwing in here, Supreme King Gate 0 can get you any of your 3 of your 4 names for summoning Zarc with Astrograph. The only thing it cannot summon is your, what is that? Your Dark Rebellion. But aside from that, it's good. And also, you can banish those with Astrograph to summon Zarc. You cannot use these, like, if you can, like, let's say you have them in your extra monster zone, you cannot banish them, I believe. Let me make sure I'm reading Supreme King Gate 0 correctly. Let's see. Oh, no, I stand corrected. You actually can. You just can't use them for Synchro or Excesis. I was under the impression you couldn't use them for Fusions either, but that is incorrect. You can. So, yeah. Anyway, moving on to the Synchros. 2 copies of Supreme King Dragon Clearwing and 1 Clearwing Synchro Dragon. You can't summon him normally. You can put Crystal Wing in here too for style points if you want, but he's in here for the Synchro Dragon name. That's about it. Then this Supreme King Dragon Clearwing. This thing's really good. When you summon it, you destroy all monsters your opponent controls. Or all face-ups rather. But yeah, it's just nuts. This card is amazing. Amazing for a level 8. Now, we move on to the Excesis. We have 2 copies of Time Star Magician, our Searcher in both from deck to hand and deck to graveyard. Very good. Our 2 Supreme King Dragon Dark Rebellion, who can reduce a monster that it's battling. It can reduce the monsters it's battling. It can reduce its attack to 0. Sorry, that was a mouthful. So, yeah, it's really good at killing just about anything by battle, and it also gains that much. So, for example, when I was dueling a friend of mine who was playing Chaos Max, I was able to swing over Chaos Max for 6,500 damage, just because you can. It's nuts. And then lastly, 2 copies of Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon. Wow, that ghost rare cannot really be seen, can it? Oh, there it is. Pretty. But yeah, Dark Rebellion is in here basically just to be Xyz Dragon by name. And it's a decent rank 4. I originally did have a Castell in here, but then I realized it was like the only out of theme card in the deck. So I was like, you know, let's just go 15 in theme cards and let's just call it a fun deck rather than try to make it good when it really can't be. But yeah, so a good play with him is if you have, let's say, Purple Poison and, I don't know, your White Wing out, something like that, you can overlay them for Dark Rebellion and detach both. So thus you have Xyz, Synchro, and Fusion Dragons already there. So then if you can get the last part, you'll be able to summon Zarc with Astrograph. It's really solid. So guys, that is going to do it for the Supreme King Dragon Zarc deck profile. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below, whether you think this deck is good, bad, whatever, in between. Obviously, it's not made to be a competitive deck. I made this specifically to not be a competitive deck, just to have fun. Because, honestly, playing Zoo every day is good, but I want some casual matches as well. This is a really, really fun deck to play. I mean every bit of that. It's incredibly fun. So much fun with that. Just being able to like cycle out your gates and your extra deck monster zone to keep things going, it's great. You could play Link monsters in here if you wanted to, but the deck can't really afford to make them that well, so it is what it is. Yeah, anyway, you guys tell me in the comment section below what you think about Supreme King Zarc Turbo. As always, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for all my future content, and I'll catch you in my next video.